That's not working. All right, let's meet. Mic check. Mic check. Very good. All righty. Hey gang, it's Dave again. I'm a woodturner, and I started this channel to help others become better woodturners, but become a better woodturner myself, and become a better presenter, and a better teacher, and a better demonstrator. So the whole idea behind this is kind of, it's all live. Everything happens live. It's interactive. So what you see is what you get, mistakes and everything. And you will get to see how I deal with those mistakes, or rather design changes, we'll put it that way. Sometimes catastrophic, but fortunately that doesn't happen often. Usually it's a result of misjudging the integrity of the wood on my part. So today I am going to work on a winged hollow and I could use the therapy today, I'll tell you. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, very, very busy. So I'm just using this as some downtime, which is nice for me because being at the lathe for me is relaxing. As I've said before, I started turning as therapy for PTSD, and found out over many in an early morning, not sleeping, that I had a knack for it. And then I fell in love with it. And now it's just one of my favorite things to do. Beekeeping is also the same thing. I work with Heroes to Hives, and I'm working to become a master beekeeper. And I keep hitting my head on something. There we are. Air hose. So in a couple of years, once I get my master beekeeping certification, the plan is to jump into the Heroes to Hives program, be an instructor there as well. So anyway, this is live and interactive. Everything happens as it happens. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. And I see there's one right now from TC Schmo. Is it going to be inside out? I guess I'm not doing an inside out turning. Doing another winged hollow form that like the walnut one you've seen I did, but I'm doing it in maple. And I wanted to be able to show some of the techniques that I learned from Stuart Batty, and then I take it a step further instead, because Stuart Batty is known for doing winged bowls, and the bowls are usually pretty deep, a couple inches deep. And I take it a step further and do hollow forms. So with the piece of lumber that I chose today, which, let me move the light out of the way, I have this piece of maple, all natural. I just took most of the bark off. And I've got a bark inclusion here. Let me bring it up to the camera a bit more. So I've got a bark inclusion here, and it goes in a little way. If I look at the ring right there, that discoloration, it tells me it goes in just a little bit down into the wood. Most of this thickness of wood is going to go away. There's just going to be a wing all the way around where I set my hollow form in the lumber itself. But I wanted to keep this feature. There is no cracks here past the bark inclusion at all, so I feel pretty confident that once I get this planed down to flat on the lathe from both sides, that it should stay together, and that would be a groovy thing. I think it will make an interesting piece. So starting off, normally, almost all the time, I start off between centers, and I start off on the balance point. With this particular piece, I cannot do that because the balance point is off of where the pith line is, and I want that center to be where that center of the tree was. So I had to mark that out. So I'm going to have a little bit of vibration, at least till I lose most of the mass in this thing. And then it should calm down quite a bit. So there's going to be a little vibration to start with. We'll start whittling that down. But the whole idea is I'm starting at the center, the geographic center of the piece that I'm working on. And I will move about 3/4 of an inch off, but that's as far as I can go because of the swing of my lathe. I really wanted to set it off over here or over here somewhere, but after checking this out on the lathe, I can go less than an inch one direction or the other and still clear the ways with the points, because I'm not turning these off round. I'm leaving this shape the way it is. I'm not turning this round at all. I'm going to make this surface flat. I'm going to sink it down a little bit so it gives me a place to put the upper part of my hollow form and the lip. And then I will leave most of the mass behind that hollow form so that I can finish the other side. But all this will be taken down quite a ways, actually, probably all the way up to here in the thickness. So it'll go from there up to there to right about somewhere in there. So I'm going to start losing a lot of mass really quickly, which means that the vibration will tone down somewhat. At least it'll be something manageable. So I have already, and I was playing around. The reason that you see all these little divots here is because I was playing around with where the center, where the balance point actually was. And the balance point actually is 5/8 of an inch off my center on the back and almost a full inch off the center on what I want to be the top of the hollow form. And that's because of what I'm trying to do here. That's not going to work for me. So I have to leave it at my geographical center. And by saying that, I meant from the center of the pith to center where the pith used to be, and drew a line, and then centered that, and then of course centered it, made sure it was actually centered here. And it turns out that from here to here and here to here is the same, even though it looks different, but that's because these stick out a little bit further. So that part's in balance. It's this harder, I'm going to call it burl wood because of the bark inclusion and the way that the grain grew. It grew very, very hard, like a burl wood. So I'm going to start right off on the center points here on front and back and work my way to where I want my hollow form to be. Now, interesting thing, I met Stuart Batty. I went to the Tennessee Symposium this year, January, and watched some of his demos, and I got to talk to Stuart Batty. The guy is not only a great demonstrator, but explains things very, very nicely for even someone like me to understand. But I will be using some of his techniques to do this. But again, this particular piece that I'm going to turn is based on Stuart Batty's work. I'm just taking it a little bit further with making it a hollow form instead of an open form. So I need to bring this down just a bit. And what I'm trying to do right now is kind of make sure that this side of the log and this side of the log are fairly equidistant from the headstock, so I'm not losing too much because it's not straight. All right. which means I probably could retract my points a bit. So I'm going to do that. That one doesn't matter so much. So this is a Thompson center. It's a live center. I really like using this because the pin itself is 3/8 of an inch. It's reversible, so you can get the flat side and put it up against your piece, and instead of putting a hole in it, you can just flatten off a 3/8 bit on your tail side and push that right in there, and you can extend it out even, and that gives you a whole lot more room, like an extra bit of length of the cone here, by having that center pin out a little bit. And I have to say, they have both taken a lot of pressure, I mean the drive and the live center, both taken a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on, and they still are in really, really great shape. So they're really nice pieces of equipment. And no, I don't get kickbacks or anything for saying that. Although I'm happy to discuss sponsorship deals, stuff like that. Let's see. Do I want to do you know what? I want to do the top first. If I get rid of the mass, all I'm going to do is flip it over, right? So I'm going to flip it over once or twice just to get most of the mass away that I need to take off. Make sure this is secure. That's the problem. All right. There we go. Awesome. Orange Dan 76. Hi, Orange Dan 76. Thanks for joining and checking out my channel. Hope your day is going well. If you don't know anything about wood turning, you might mess around and learn something about wood turning on this channel. If you are a wood turner and you have stories to share or information to share, that's what I'm doing with this channel. I want to help other turners be better turners, and myself included in that. I do know that talking about the things that I'm doing helps cement it in my mind and in my muscle memory, but I also really do appreciate learning from other turners. But I'm working to become a better demonstrator and teacher, Orange Dan, on top of that as well. So I've got it set. I'm ready to go. Well, almost. Got to have these. Actually, got to clean them a little bit. Safety first. So the way that Stuart Batty usually does these, at least from my understanding, and I got to make sure I'm at center here, which is what I was doing when I distracted myself. Good at distracting myself. Can't start with a loose. There we go. Banjo or a loose tail or a tool rest. All right. Now, Stuart Batty says that he doesn't sand his pieces, and he uses, well, he started off using this skew. I know he was developing a tool that would take the place of this skew so that you wouldn't be wearing down a skew so much. And the reason I say that is because this is a normal skew. Well, normal for me, it's got a little bit of a radius on it, but I prefer that. But the angle on both sides is the same. Stuart Batty's technique, the skew is turned into a negative rake scraper. There's a burr raised up on the edge of there. So the grind is not the same. So this tool, if I use it a whole lot, will wind up being shorter and shorter and shorter as I keep trying to get that burr back. So I'm looking forward to when he has those tools made so I can pick one of them up and put this back into normal skew use. But this is what I will be doing to scrape the surface of this so that I don't have to sand it, because the wings will be out quite a ways on both sides. So put that back. What I'm going to do now is hog off most of the mass here. You know, before I do that, let's take a really good look at what direction I want to go here. Because I know, let's see, I can go about that far. Probably either way, so that's about an inch. I can go either way. And so I want to look at this grain and see which is one going to be better than the other. And maybe this might be pretty cool. You can see where this tried to grow something out here, and the tree changed its straight growth pattern into pushing out. It could have been the fact that the tree got broken a little bit or whatever, but or not broken, but bent. But it's not really compression wood here, except for right in where that bend is at. So I'm not really concerned about that aspect of it. But what I really want to try to capture is the most grain and the most grain effect in an area. And I'll be making my hollow form over right over here. So I'm going to say that this is the side I want to work on. And way up here, I will use, no, I'll use a pencil. So I don't expect to take all that off. So that mark should still be there when I've flattened the face. Well, no, it won't, but I can work on that in a minute. I'm going to work on getting the mass of the piece off as much as possible. Double check this. No. Okay, that'll work. Safety first. I want everything secure and tight before I even start. So I'm going to start off with, I don't need to be that far in, with a series of push cuts. Just working my way in towards, somewhere in here. So I'll mark that on this side. And give myself a little bit of light so I can see that pencil line on this side. So I'm just going to take it in down a little bit right after. Come on. I flatten this out first. All right. Too close there. Cool. Is it clear? Yep. That light. A couple more times. Okay, we're good to go. So I want my hollow form to be somewhere there. Well, actually, that's not actually correct. I want the center right there, so it'll be somewhere in here. So I want to go no further than this line right there. which you can't see with the camera. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can get this. All right, so you might be able to see the pencil line I'm drawing here. So I'm going to work my way into that. Take this down a little bit so I have a raised section here about the depth that I think might be the shoulder of the hollow form that I want to come up over the top of the wood. So let's reposition. So I'm going to do a series of push cuts, and a push cut is where the cutting part of the tool leads to the handle. It's in front of the handle, and I'm pushing in and pulling straight out. So I always got to remember the ABCs of turning. Anchor. I've got my tool anchored here and on my body, down on this side, on my hip. If I can get it into camera view, kind of right here on my hip. You saw my thumb placement. That it helps me retain. I keep my thumb on top of the tool once I have it set because I want my flute to be open about 45 degrees. I want my bevel to be facing the direction of my cut. So that's A and B, and then the C is I start my cut. Now, again, this is going to be a little bit off balance, so the camera is no longer attached to the lathe, so you might see this move a little bit, but it won't be because the camera is shaking, which is nice. And I am actually going to run my reef drive back to the lowest point and start from there. Yep, definitely vibration. Let's see, if I speed it up, will it slow down? Will it lessen? A little bit. So I'm going to leave it at that. For those who are interested, it's about 600. I'm going to move my light because I'm looking for the shadows on this side, which you can't see in the camera. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, yeah, all right. So the shadows on this side is where I'm going to be looking to see the depth of my cut. It's going to be too hard to see down by the tool rest here because it's going right by the tool rest. Now you can see it better from the camera view, and if I had that kind of view, that might be great, but it's going to be easier for me to look over that direction while I'm doing this. So I got my anchor, bevel's pointed the right way. Just going to slowly feed it in, cutting a lot of air here. Just want to get all the high spots off before I start working on flattening it out. Double check on that with my lines. That's going to be my center, so I don't want to go too much further into here. So let's mark that. My pencil vibrated off the lathe. I took all the heavy stuff off the lathe because I knew this was going to happen. So I'm going to call that my terminator there. Terminus point. I'll set my pencil over here. I'm going to cover the computer because I'm getting some shavings on it. I will check the screen now again to see if there are any comments or questions that need to be addressed. In the meantime, I'm just going to go for it. I'm only going as fast as the tool can cut. So that I'm not bouncing around. Even though the wood is vibrating and the lathe is vibrating, I'm not. My tool isn't, and I'm not. I don't want to have any... I don't want to beat myself up doing this. This is supposed to be fun. Let's see. I went out that far. All right, let's take a look. I'm also making sure where these bark inclusions are, there really aren't any like small microscopic cracks, and there aren't. So that really makes me happy because I do want to save this piece. I want it to stay with this. I don't want it to come off. So if I move that far, okay, so I can, okay. So does that give me enough of a shoulder? It does not. So I'll go in a little more. Let's make sure that this all clears. Whoop, nope, doesn't. Now it does. And as I get this down to the thickness that I'll be working on, the vibration, as I said, will greatly lessen. One thing I have tried to keep reminding myself is that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. But I do have to say also, when I get behind the lathe, time kind of disappears. All right, will that be enough? Not quite. So I'm losing a lot of that bark inclusion, which is what I was wondering if that would happen. And that's okay. That's not a big deal. I thought it would be a nice feature. If it disappears entirely, that so much, however it works out, it works out. But I think about that. Yeah, I'm going to take it in just a little bit further. I don't know if you can tell or not, but already some of the vibration is going away. Sorry, just double checking the screen to make sure I didn't have any comments or questions. You know what? That looks good to me right there. Yep. Anchor, bevel. Bevel will go that way. Now I can cut. I'm already just taking off the top surface, and I am really having to work against the grain there. But I'm going to fix that problem here real shortly. Got to reset my tool rest because I'm bringing out the skew as a negative rake scraper, and I'll flatten all of that. So I want to raise my tool rest so I have a bit of a downward angle to center line. That's my center. It's probably too much. That might work. But then it'd be okay. So I just need to come up just a bit. Make sure my tool rest is secure. Nothing's moving. So let me see if you can see this. Okay, you can see this. I'm going to bring this up. You probably cannot see the burr. Well, maybe you can if I get the light right. The burr that's on this tool. I don't want to go in parallel with the ways. I want to drop the tooltip a little bit down, raise the handle up, because I want just that burr to make contact. The burr does not care if I'm careful and I'm using just the burr doesn't care that I'm going through end grain, side grain, end grain, side grain. It's not going to matter. It's just going to shave off the very, very top of that surface, and then it's going to leave us a really, really nice surface here. Now, your negative rake scraper does not have to be askew. It's just the only tool steel that I had that was thick enough for working on this particular project. So it's cleaning up really, really nice. I'm going to put this on the grinder really fast, put the burr back up, and I'm going to finish that. And I'm not going to have to sand that. That's nice. Makes me happy. All right. One moment, please. Actually, see if that shows up. Hopefully I won't be in the way. But I have my left side set up. This side is usually where I do my gouges. And this side is usually where I do all of my scrapers, skews, or if I'm doing just a single grind all the way around, I'll use this table. I'm hoping to pick up one of Stuart Batty's tables for the grinder sometime soon in the future. That would be groovy, because it's a half circle, and the hinge point is not down low like this one is. I can only move this so much. With the tool rest that Stuart Batty carries, the hinge point's up here, so you can move that table and really not change your distance to the wheel too much. All right, so that should be good enough. I see there's a burr on there. Here we go. Wait, sorry. I want to double check and make sure that I'm actually flat. Yeah, nice. All right, cool. So I'm just lightly touching the surface. Very, very, very lightly. It looks like I'm pulling off sawdust, but I'm not. It's actually shavings. Oh, golly, you're looking right at me and nodding. Sorry about that, folks. This is why I have a coffee page. I have one camera that doesn't have a focus or a zoom feature, and an older laptop. And so I have a coffee page, a donation page. If you like what you see, I'm trying to make this channel the best it can be. If you like what you see and you'd like to support me, I appreciate it. Please go to my coffee page, make a donation. I'm now raising funds to get a second camera and a video switcher, so that I can get different angles other than from up above. So this is actually a shaving here. So that's what I'm pulling off. It looks like sawdust because the shavings are so super thin that they're just almost disintegrating as they come off. Actually, these are really nice. I don't want to pull them apart because they're so fragile, but there's one of them right there. So having the negative rake scraper and the burr really, really is a lovely, lovely thing. Just about done with that. Always remember, kids, to keep your hands on the people side of the tool rest. Anything you want to keep goes on this side of the tool rest. Anything you want to get rid of goes on that side of the tool rest. And by that, I mean fingers, hands, arms, elbows, all that stuff. You don't want to get caught up in this. Man, oh, let's see. Can you, I wonder if you can see that from the, let's see if that, I don't know if you can actually see that. Get my hand out of the way. But that surface is super smooth. I'm really happy with that. And that is a good depth for me. I don't have to do any sanding on that. Now I'll have to come back in and touch this up because this will be further off to the side and I'll have to hit this with a skew again. But what I have here is really, really nicely planed. And that is the main technique on this that I learned from Stuart Batty, watching him and asking him questions and watching his demos at the symposium in Tennessee. And if I can avoid sanding at any point, I will do that. It's because it's boring. It's just a monotonous job. I mean, you know, you're going to have to sand at some point most of the time. Pardon me while I mess around with this camera. It seems to have come loose somehow. Pardon me here. Okay. Now, do we have on the correct side of the tool rest? Yes. Okay. Groovy. It's very, very nicely planed. I'm really happy with that. Now I'm going to flip it around and take this. It was really close. Let me mark that better. My pencil seems to have jumped ship again, so I'll use this one. I'll say it's right there. So that's really close to where I already marked. So I'll remark it. So got to spin this around and get rid of the mass on the back. Make sure I've got the lumber secure. It's not a fun thing when it comes flying off the lathe. Okay. So put the skew away and back to the bowl gouge. So now here, this is the side that I wanted to keep, or where my hollow form is going to go towards. So I'm going to mark that again, because I really like the grain that's showing up. So the camera again. Maybe I can just hold it there for a second. I really like the grain that's showing up here, and that's going to be really relatively close to the side of my hollow form when I turn it here. So I'm liking that. That looks cool. Now I've got to get rid of all this mass here and here. Eventually it'll be, I don't know, 3/16 of an inch thick or so. But I have to work my way towards where I'm going to turn. I already had to start with vibration, which is not my favorite thing. I do everything I can to eliminate vibration before I even start. But I had to, because this is the way this is cut and the grain that I'm looking to save, I have to turn it this way. So I've got to work my way towards where my new center is going to be. My new center is going to be, it's here. It's going to move this way. Let's just move the camera. Sorry, I probably hit the camera with my head. I have a large head. So this being the center, I want to move the center this way. I can only go so far because these points have to clear the ways. I'm not going to make it round. But removing this mass, again, will greatly eliminate and reduce the vibration. So everything clears. Here we go. Anchor, bevel, cut. curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And I'm just reminding you that I'm not pushing the tool in on this push cut as fast as the lumber can feed. I am pushing it in as fast as the tool can actually cut. Oh, did that make it? Did not. All right, cool. Now it all clears. Still cutting a lot of air, but I will for a little while. Another 3/4 of an inch, it looks like. I'm going to angle my tool rest a bit here. See, I was going that way, so actually I can take that off, but not yet. All right, slow down, Dave. Slow down. Do we clear? We clear. So here I'm going to be hanging off, when I'm cutting in here, I'm going to be hanging off a little bit more off the tool rest, but here where the vibration matters the most, I'm not going to be off so far. It's not a huge difference, but I want to be as close to this part of the lumber as possible, because this is where the flex is going to be happening. Or rather, is already happening. And honestly, I'm really curious to see if that bark inclusion, how deep that is from this side. If it'll even show up. All right, I don't like that. I'm going to come back here and pick that up again. That's smoother. Don't be afraid to back off a little bit and take a different tack at the cut, or a different angle at the cut. If you're not getting a good cut and you push through, the cut's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So back off a little bit, readdress the situation, readdress your tool, and start your cut over. So we're getting there. I got another probably 1/2 inch to go. I can actually, I'm going to round this off a little bit so I can get my tool rest in. I don't have to worry about it too much, because I'm not coming all the way out, and then a lot of this is going to disappear. So I'm going to round that off real quick. Oh, I know what the problem is. Yes, of course. Our tool rest is a little too high because we were working with the skew. There we go. All right, so that clears. Good. Now, it gets me in a little bit closer. I can move this guy to right there, I think. That clears, that clears, that clears, that clears. That's what I was worried about. All right. The interesting thing about this tool post is that it's threaded, which is awesome. But the part that goes down into the banjo, that gets kind of crushed, so it deforms a little bit. Fortunately, it's deformed in 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle and 0 for me, depending on where I have the tool set. So I know that if I put it in my 45, I try to get different angles out of it, but because those threads are crushed, the little pieces of the vise here press in on that tool post, and it's not a bad thing. It just means that I have to be aware that my tool rest is going to be more secure and stable in those positions than other ones. I wish that wasn't the case. That's not where I want it to be. All right, so we're going to try this tack. If I have to pull out I may have to do that. Pull out my Steve Center tool rest, perhaps. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull out Steve Center tool rest because it will let me get in there tighter. Make sure that is correct. Yeah, that looks right. It's not as long. That will clear. That will clear. That will clear. Ooh, no. That does clear, but I'll give it a little more room. So now I can get a lot closer here because I still have, half an inch to get through down here, and I want to be off the tool rest. I don't want to be off the tool rest very far on this part out here where this is swinging out and I'm cutting air, because this is going to start flexing. The cool thing about using the skew to finish this off, you'll see it doesn't matter because it's not going to flex with the tool contact because it's only contacting the burr. But let's get this, let's continue on with this. Let me check my channel here. Okay, groovy. And we clear. That's set. Get my light up. Anchor, bevel, cut. I'll look in there. Go a little bit more. How does that look? I can go a little bit more. You can see it's starting to flex from the tool contact. Let me explain that. Now, this is a solid piece of wood. This is flat, and this is going to be flat. It's kind of a lower point here towards the edge and higher towards the center, but it's at most 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. Here, though, you see on the wings, this is we're going to call that 5/16. That's more 3. That's 1/4 of an inch. And look at that guy. So I'm getting some flex already. So I'm going to work my way down just to this level, and then I'm going to finish it off with the skew so that I avoid as much of that flex as possible. What I'm shooting for is an even thickness all the way through the wing, because the tool, the gouge is putting pressure on the wood here. It's making it move. This is not a green piece of wood. This is seasoned wood, but it will still flex. Not as much as a green piece of lumber would, but it will still flex. Anchor, bevel, cut. actually could probably speed this bad boy up, but take a look at that. All right, so I'm going to work down to here. I'm going to stay away from the edge here, but I'm going to work down to here some more. Right about there. There we go. It's getting better. Clearly that's okay. I'm thinking to myself how I want to. I'm already flat. Let's see here. Yeah, it's flexing quite a bit. I'm gonna take it this way. Now there I'm going to stop short of making contact with the wing here, because if I make contact with that wing, I'll get a gouge, and it'll spin this thing out of my hand. Always pay attention to where your tool's going. Safety, safety. All right. Interesting. All right, I'm going to grab the skew. I don't know if you can see all those shavings jumping around, but I'm going to put a burr on my skew again. That's evening it out nicely. Cool. I'm going to get in. I think I can go back to the tool rest now. Raise it up a bit. Get me right in there. Too close. What's not clearing? Groovy. All right, real quick, gonna put another burr on. My skew. I really like having my grinder and everything right behind me. I can just spin around and jump right on it. All right. Oh, yeah. I don't know. You might be able to see that now. See if I can get it up there, that burr that's on there. Yeah, that's the burr that I'm talking about. That's what's going to contact the wood, not the tool steel, just that burr. You got to tip the tool down a little bit. I'm watching the ghosting. There's my contact. You can hear the difference in the sound when I'm getting out to cutting more air than I am lumber, and when I'm actually in the lumber. Quiets down quite a bit. Lovely shavings. Love pulling shavings off. Gonna have to hit my burr again. In fact, I'm just gonna leave the grinder running. I want to get, I want to get my thickness set while I'm here now, because I cannot come back once I change my center. It's all going to change, so I have to work with what I got. And once my center changes, I won't be able to get back out to, let's see, it's going to be on this side, so I won't be able to get out to these corners because they're really going to be flying around and flexing a whole lot more. So I'm working my way in towards the center to what the center is eventually going to be. I need to get this thickness set now. That is really flat. That's awesome. Might have to do a little sanding out here, maybe. Maybe. All right, slowly address the tool till I get contact. There it is. This is just, I'm barely giving it any pressure. I just want the burr itself to make contact. And actually, let's just stop for a second. If you can see in the way the light is, let's see if I can hold it just right because I'm looking at the computer screen. You can see a little bit of sawdust that's on the uphill side of the burr. That's, sorry if there, maybe that's showing up pretty good. So there's sawdust on the uphill side of the burr, and that's telling me that I'm making the right contact. There's just a thin line right there. So I'm continuing to raise the burr on the fly. That's a really nice burr. Let's take another look. You can tell it's definitely flexing because the thicknesses are different. However, that's flat. That's flat. So it may be, well, I don't know. I'm not sure how to quantify that right now, but in any case, I'm going to take this down a little bit more. Still got my anchor. Bevel is my burr. I want to address it till it makes the cut right there. Now I'm ready to go. And it's a really, really light pressure. I'm really not holding the tool against the wood that much. I'm really just giving it just enough pressure for the burr to make contact. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, that's getting better. Oh yeah, that's really cleaning up the surface too, so I don't have to sand this side either, really. Nice. Maybe just a little bit. There's a little bit torn grain right here, but the grain gets really funky in this little area. It didn't all grow straight, so that I might have to sand, but or maybe not. Maybe I just leave it and it's a feature. So I've got my anchor now. I'm on the tool rest. I am almost touching the lumber. I want my burr to make contact as it has right there. I just need light pressure. I love watching that. I don't know if you can really tell. All these are all shavings that are coming off. Love watching the shavings dance around. Okay. Let's see what I can do here. Cutting a lot of air here. Okay, I can't go any thinner than that. Okay. Oh, burr's gone. So Stuart Batty has come up with a tool steel, and I think he's calling it S4. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, it holds that edge and that burr a lot longer than the high-speed steel was. Although this is a Thompson tool steel, excellent tool steel. And no, I don't get paid by Thompson Tools to say that yet. I'm happy to be considered for that role, but this is excellent steel to begin with. But he's come up with, I think it was called an S4, so that burr stays a whole lot longer and is more durable. I hope he's gotten a lot closer, or at least have got it figured out. And the other nice thing about this too is not leaving any tool marks. All right. You see, like right here out at the very edge, how the wood, the shavings are just jumping off the wood. And that's because that burr is the only thing making contact. It's such a fine microsurface that's really not causing the wood to flex as much as a normal cutting gouge or skew or whatever would. Negative rake scraper is lovely for this kind of stuff. That's super smooth, man. I've got very little sanding to do there. And I suspect that some of this issue might be that, well, no, I don't think so, because that's flat. That's flat. If the sides aren't parallel, that could be a problem, and clearly they're not. I'm trying to figure out why. I must have shifted the piece a little bit while I was between centers, even though I thought I hit the same center hole on both sides flipping around. I must have just shagged it off by a little bit to make this thicker than it is over here. So this shifted up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just going to go with it. I see I have a crack here, but it doesn't show up on the top, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I cannot tell. Let's see. Okay, so you can kind of see, I think, yeah, a little bit of the bark inclusion that's coming through. That's what I wanted to save. Okay, all right. So I am at a point now where I'm going to move this piece. Yes. I've gotten rid of a lot of that vibration, and now I'm going to introduce more. This is the direction I wanted to go. So, how far is that? So I'm going to measure where my center is going to be from this center point that way. I'm going to have to do the same thing on this side, move it all that way, because I'm trying to keep this as the center bit, going right through the pith there, or where the pith used to be, rather. Okay, let's start with, I do have a book. Let's start with this, and let's mark that. Okay, turn that off for now. Shut down my grinder. I am going that direction, correct? Yes, I'm going that direction. So I'll start here, give myself a divot for my points to grab onto. Fortunately, and what I'm working towards also is being able to chuck this thing up, because once I get it in the chuck, the wing is going to be thin, but once I get it in a chuck, the vibration is going to be almost a non-issue. Now, will that clear? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I've got a little bit to go. Okay, so I can move it even further. So I'm going to go another 1/4 of an inch, I think, to the side. And we'll see if I can clear that. If I can, I'm going to work my way towards this little by little. Sorry if my big bald head is in the way. There we go. Groovy. All right, let's see if this will actually clear as well, because that will be my final center if it clears. That corner clears, that corner clears. I know these two are going to clear. All right, so that's going to be my final center. So we have come off the original center by, or will eventually, by a full inch. Maybe 1 1/16 inches. Nope, just 1 inch. However, that's as far as I can go because of the width of this piece. I've got a 14-inch swing. That doesn't count diagonals, now does it? That counts it when it's round. This is not going to be round. Obi-Wan says, hey, Dave. Hey, Obi-Wan, how you doing? And TC Smo blocking. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I've got, I will eventually be 1 inch this direction with my center. That's going to be it. I'm going to come out about halfway there. Well, I don't know. Let's see how it spins. Let's see how it spins before I make that final decision. I really think I just want to sneak up on it. So I'm going to go halfway with it, take that mass off, go another halfway. Or go the rest of the way, rather. Go to the easy side. Beautimous. Oh, I hit it. All right. Not on the line, though. There we go. No. Oh, I see what you mean now. The light is blocking, perhaps. Sorry, I couldn't really see that with the curtains pulled over the computer. My bad. There we go. Yes. So I'm going to go halfway, take off the mass, flatten the wings on the mass that I'm taking away. Then I'll do it one more time. We'll wind up doing it 4 times in total. But this surface is already finished. I don't have to go back to this. I just need to go work on, when I get to that point, the mass that I'm taking away in here now. So the wings are finished. I'm done. And honestly, I can't go back anyway. I need to be sure that I'm done. But measuring with the ruler and looking at the surface, it's finished. I don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to get a little bit more vibration. But it won't be as bad as the first time, in theory. So I'm going to angle it in a bit. Do I clear? I do not clear. Always check to make sure your piece is going to clear before you turn the lathe on. Okay. Groovy. Since I lost my other pencil, I will use this one. And I'm going to go to there. That's quite a bit I'm going to take off. All right, here we go. Thanks for stopping by, Obi. Good seeing you, man. All right, put the skew away. Grab my bow gouge. Another series of push cuts just to hog all this stuff off. Let's see how much vibration we get. I'm going to clear. It's about the same as it was when I started, but not bad. Now, I do have to remember, and this is something you need to pay attention to, right? It's off center now, so this wing is a lot longer in perspective than this one is. Keep your human body parts on this side of the tool rest. You don't know where you might make contact. You might think you're clear because, I cleared that, but then that will catch you. You don't want that. Nobody wants it. As far as I know, nobody wants that. All right, so I got a little bit of vibration, but we're going to get rid of this mass now. Cutting a lot of air, but slow is fast, slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Now I'm into all lumber. I like that sound. Make sure I haven't gone inside my line there. I have not. I still got a little ways to go. Let's think about that. Yep. I need to move my tool rest because I have to get into here. I know that's going to clear, but what I'm trying to determine or make sure of, actually, I don't need to straighten that out right now. I know this part's going to clear the tool rest. I just need to get a little bit in closer so that I'm not hanging so far off the tool rest with my gouge. Anchor, bevel, cut. I went too deep. Maybe. I don't know. Nope. Making sure my wing does not make contact with the lumber. Take a look here. Oh, good. It didn't do that. All right, cool. So I can clean all this up now. But as you can see, now I'm moving my center off to the side. All right, bowl gouge out of the way. Do I have a burr? Nope. Everything's clearing. Yep. Oh, I love those shavings. Take a look what's happening. We are still flat. Groovy. Here's what we got. All right. Oh, that's better. Look. Still flat. Yeah. It's a little high there. All right. So a little high right in there. Burr back. Yep. Look at this again. Almost there. Just a shade. Look at that. Looking pretty good. Yeah, around the back of this has got some interesting grain changing directions there. All right. Oh, just a skosh more, looks like. Just a skosh. What'd be really cool is if you all could see me going back and forth in between. I'm assuming you can see everything all right, because again, I have my computer covered, even though it looks like it's getting some dust on it. Okay. So I have to sand that little bit off. That's okay. But the rest of this is all flat. Man, it feels so nice too. So nice. I need to come off a little bit more off in there. Anchor. You know what? I'm gonna move my tool rest again. Get really close. Bring my tool handle up a bit. I don't think that blocks anything. It's almost. So let's move it down here. Like that. And how does that look? That looks good. All right. Anchor my bevel. And I'm just making contact again with the burr. It's not flexing the wood. The burr doesn't care which direction the grain is going. A little bit more right there. Another reason why I haven't done this so much, because I got to keep grinding this tool away, and this is, I'll eventually have to buy another skew, but that is a hazard. That did it. Cool. All right. Now I got to flip it around, do the other side. Turn off the grinder. So just so you can see the difference in diameter. So I need to move or just flip it around and put it back on that same center. Which is right there. Nope, sorry, I'm wrong. It's right there. That was the old center. We don't want to go back to that. Okay, so now I can see. That's funny. I just had that pencil. Now it's going off somewhere else. All right, so this is basically the same diameter as this is here. So that's going to be my line that I draw from my own reference. So I can see it here on this side. That's how much I'm going to want to take off. Just the tool rest. Make sure I'm on the center that I'm looking for. Okay. That'll do. So not as much vibration, but you can still see there is some vibration happening. And it's because all this mass that's out here, we're talking, well, more than an inch because it's angled in, but, a good fat inch compared to this edge here. So all that's kind of throwing it off like a washing machine tub. But the wing isn't adding so much mass now. So as hopefully you can see as we go that the vibration just gets less and less and less. Anchor, bevel, there's my cut. Kind of interesting because I'm cutting a ton of air on this because it's oblong in shape. There, now I'm all lumbered. Like that sound. And take it down just a bit. Keeping in mind that wing. There we go. And now I just need to work on this a little bit here. So that's a little bit more than an inch that I just got to work around. And that'll be groovy, man. I guess I could go in there further. Let's see, this is going to be the top, right? Yes. But I'm going to work my way that way. So, skew. Pardon me while I wait for my grinder to get going. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay. That's looking mighty fine. Probably a little thick right there, but let's take a straight edge. No, it's right there. How about here? Okay, that looks really, really good. Let's clean that up. How's my, oh, that's a lovely burr. All right. So that's all I've got to clean up here. All right, cool. It looks okay. Measure that. A little thick right there. But, oh man, it's less than a hair. I'll take it. Okay, so I'm done with that bit. Now I can move the center some more. Going to my last center point. Set this aside. So the last center point, the last bit of mass that I have to remove. My light up here. We are, and that clears and that clears. Nothing's catching. Cool. So I'm clearing my ways by about 1/4 of an inch, spinning around on the long side. Anything new happening out here? No. Y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask. Hopefully, if I'm not giving enough or good enough explanation, don't be afraid to jump into chat there. Or heck, if you're watching, just jump into chat and say hi. Okay, so my camera's covered up again. I can sort of see it through the shower curtain. This is my new center. And that turns out to be almost, another inch. I haven't moved a whole inch out. I've moved 1/2 an inch, but because it doubles, now I've got a whole nother inch to take off here. So this is going to be coming down, and this will be the final center. So I'll turn this side, then I'll turn this side, get myself set up to hold it in the chuck. Then I will put it in the chuck and turn this, hollow it out, reverse it, and finish the bottom. So is that, yeah, okay. So I need to come in that far. Whoops. Right there, okay. That works. I suppose I can shut off the grinder now, since I'm not going back and forth. Okay. We are clearing. A little bit more vibration, but we got that oblong monstrosity sticking out there that we're taking off right now. burr. A little bit of a scrape there. Let's take a look at this. Okay, not much to take off. Let's clean that up. Anchor burr to be B, anchor bevel cut, anchor burr cut. How about that? Take a quick look here. I mean, look at these lovely shavings. That's awesome. Almost there. Groovy. Oh, that's it over there. Cool. That's good burr. It's looking really, really nice. Look here. So it's just a touch high, maybe. Yep. We're just about done with this. I'm going to run the sander across it. Flip it around. We'll get that turned and set for chuck. Run a sander across it. And that'll be good to go. Yes. All right. So we'll run a sander across this real quick. Move this guy out of the way. And I'm going to mute you folks for just a little bit while I run this because it's going to keep my air compressor running. And that is going to be exceedingly loud for you. Grab my sander. What I got on here? Whoops. Well, regardless, it's got to be replaced. But that was 220. Okay. Got my 220 and my Air 2 oil. So while we're taking this short little interlude to get this tool ready to go, I would like to thank Stuart Batty very much for being willing to show his techniques and explain them in the manner that he does. I hope to be as good a demonstrator as he is. Actually, yes, most of the guys are out there. And gals, sorry, not trying to be sexist. Just hoping to be the best teacher and demonstrator that I can be. Because I find wood turning relaxing and also exciting, and I hope that others will be infected by my joy and might want to check it out sometime. All right, so let me grab my earplugs. I will be right back. And I am going to mute you shortly. I'll be back when I have finished sanding this side, and we're going to flip it around. I'll go ahead and flip it around before I unmute you, probably because the compressor will still be running. Okay. Okay, back in a flash. Here goes mute. Okay. Come on. All right, so don't guess I need my earplugs in right now. So that's the service I get basically with a skew. I did do a little 220 sanding, but not much. And that's what I want to see on this side too. So we're going to turn the back side, get it set for a chuck. Make sure I'm secure. All right. Pencil. So that's now my outside edge. I'm going to get rid of that. Everything clears. But I may have to bring up my center tool rest again. Let's get started. You can hear I'm cutting a lot of air, but I'm only going as fast as the tool can cut. That was almost all lumber. So are we there? Looks like it. All right. Yep. Gonna need Steve Center's tool rest. Just trying to find the best angle. That clears, that clears. Whoops. Groovy. Sitting way too low, aren't I? Yep. Okay. Yes, good. All right. Bring out the skew. Bring out the skew. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, I can see here, even though this is trued up, that I can have just a little bit high side here, which is apparently enough to make these wings that much different. It is there. So I was off just a bit on the centers, but I'm not going to call that a big deal. So let's make that flat. Speed it up a bit since I can. Check that out. Oh, yeah. That's nice. Cool. All right. So I can sand this part, but let me get it set up for a chuck here. Let's see. How big is this guy going to be? Not that big, it turns out. A little bit smaller than that. So this is another thing. I love this about the Steve Center tool rest. I can get right up in there and don't have to worry about the wing over here. Make sure all that clears. You know, let's go just a little bit more out. So I don't need that much. All right. that gonna work? Nope. All right. I think I will make that even smaller. I don't know that I want it that big. Let's take it down some more. That's not going to work with this guy. So we will flip this around. Maybe. No, we won't. Back to the other tool rest. Make sure that's going to clear. Make sure it clears here. All right. That's all going to clear. Good. All right. Any new comments, questions? Not at this time. All right. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. Maybe you're learning something. If you got some knowledge you'd like to share, please feel free. I like learning new stuff. Better techniques for doing what I'm doing. Be up there. There we go. Yeah. All right. Okay. dress up where I'm going to grab it with the chuck just a bit. Steve centers to rest. All right, the center to rest. Here we go. Come on. All right, now we can put a little sanding action on the backside of this guy and call it done. And start hollowing. We'll make the whole thing flat. I probably should have left that bark on there. That might have been cool. But hey, we got a natural edge, and that's all that matters. Let's move this guy out of the way. Bring him back. Okay, Don, I have to mute you again. Sorry, folks. KT Breach. Hey, how you doing? All right, so all set to sand. So I'm going to put you on mute so you don't have to listen to the silly compressor here. All right, so I waited for the compressor to catch up with me. Excuse me, I'm not done sanding this side, but I wanted to, it occurred to me I should explain this. When I'm sanding, I've got my hand on the, if you look, you can see how much this is flexing. It's not taking much to move it, so I'm using my hand as a backer when I'm sanding so that the wood itself doesn't vibrate. I don't need to make a bunch of sanding marks on this. I'm just cleaning off the stuff that the skew didn't get with 220. So I just wanted to explain that really quick. Hang in there. I'm going to mute you again and run my sander. Sorry, folks, just killing time while my compressor catches up. A man walks into a bar and says, "Ouch." There we go. All right, compressor's done. I don't know if that's a good joke or a bad joke, but here's another one. A priest, a rabbi, and an evangelist walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What do you think this is? Some kind of joke?" Oh, slay me. All right. So now we're done. That's didn't take too long to sand, which is my favorite bit. And that's at 220. Let's get rid of the drive center. Grab a chuck. And that's still on camera. Very good. Let's see, that will still fit here. Yes, very good. And we are a touch too high. Grab that guy. Hey, there's a good idea. I don't know if anybody out there that's watching saw Jack Black and Kyle, Tenacious D, and the Pick of Destiny. This is the gouge of fate. All right, so I'm loosening up the chuck a little bit so I can push. Whoops, I guess I have to set the tailstock. So I'm just making sure that I've got good contact here on the shoulder that I've cut up against the mouth of the jaws. I'm not trying to force it, push it, and just get a good seat. So it's kind of subjective to whatever your touch feels like, but it's just enough to get it to seat against the top of the chuck jaws here. I had created a 90-degree angle so that it will sit flat right here. I'm just pushing it in just a little bit. And then I'll tighten down the chuck. And I treat it just like you would a drill press. It has 2 or 3 or 4 places to tighten down, just so that all of the jaws tighten as evenly as you can make it. And I guess I can take my earplugs out again. Yay. Okay. How we doing out there, folks? Having a good time? Hopefully I'm explaining things well. That's groovy, man. That's groovy. So I'm going to take my spindle gouge. And no, actually, I'm going to take my bowl gouge and just hog off. You know, it doesn't matter. This will work. I will take my spindle gouge and hog some of this off. Use this one for that, though. Oh, gotta love it. There's a little bit of vibration from the wings being way out there. Just remember, keep your hands and everything on this side of the tool rest. It kind of looks like that's as far as it's going out, but oh, that's another 1.5 inches that it's swinging around here. And actually more than that on the corners. So safety first. So I'm starting this cut a little bit high, but I want to end my cut where it's at center. Now, I handle a spindle gouge differently than I handle a bowl gouge, than I handle a skew, than I had to, they're all different tools and have different purposes, but they can be multitaskers. I'm shaping the outside and shoulder and lip of this hollow form that's going to be in there. And when I finish my cut, not in this case yet, but I want it fairly closed. When I get down to actually doing the detail stuff, I'll want my flute to be facing the wood that's all the way closed, and that's where I want to end my cut there. And then the tool steel itself is parallel with the ways of the lathe. So I set my tool rest up to where that's going to, actually I'm kind of low, just a touch, so I'll have to raise it up. But this is good to pay attention to. I'll probably have to lower the tool rest just a bit. Yep, I went too far. Okay, so it doesn't matter which direction I'm going. Let's say I'm going this direction. At the end of my cut, I want the very, very front point of that tool there to be the only cutting surface. And in order to do that, my flute has to close. I'm going to start with it a little bit open, but it has to close when I get to that point. This, I'm just closing mostly because I don't want this wing to contact the wood. So not that it would if I was here, but I also don't want to make a mark in there yet. This I still have to clean up with the skew and then just a touch-up sanding around it. But the way I control a spindle gouge is I'll start my cut a little high, and I'll start my cut in the proper location it needs to start. In this case, being, since I'm cutting on this lower wing, it's just that front third that I want to be cutting. So I'm going in this direction, not this way, but this way. So I will start a little high and start my cut right in there. As I'm bringing it down and around, I am closing the flute. I've gone to my starting point and set my thumb at the top. That's where I want my, well, no, actually more like that. So I will want this closed no more than that. So my thumb is on top. I will have to rotate my hand to an uncomfortable position to get where I can start. But then as I raise the handle, just relaxing my hand, the thumb will come naturally to the top. I'm only pushing with these fingers. I'm not pushing with this hand at all. And it's not a super hard contact. It's just making contact with the wood, getting the cut started, and then letting it follow through. But it's different than a bowl gouge where you are going back and forth or in and out. With the spindle gouge, I'm more making kind of an arc. But I'm going to stay right in that area of the tool with the cut all the way down. I can do that by setting myself up with my thumb on the stop, going to my uncomfortable position, and then starting the cut and working it around. As I bring it down to center and raise my hand, you can see my thumb naturally wants to go to the top. So that's how I work with a spindle gouge. So I'm going to set myself up here. That's right where I want to be. So my thumb's on top. Start high. As I follow it around, now I'll have to switch hands, so it doesn't matter. My left thumb is still going to be on the top there. But because I can't lean into these wings, I have to change my hand position so that I can make the cuts. It still looks the same. I'm only pushing with my thumb, but as I raise my handle, you can see where I end. That's exactly where I wanted to end, and I'm parallel with the waves. All I did was just raise my left hand. It would be the same if it was my right. Here, I want to catch a little bit of that, clean that up. So I just start the cut, raise my handle till I get to the depth I want to be, which is there, and I'm done. Pull away. Here, I start the cut. Same thing. I'm pushing only with my right thumb here. I'm done. Start the cut high, not super high, just high to get it in the right spot. I'm making a curve, and as I do, I'm lifting the handle, and that gets me right to where I need to be. If you're following that, and I'm not going to say that I'm riding the bevel, because I am not riding the bevel. I'm floating it. It's just kind of sort of dancing on the surface. The cutting edge is what is making contact, and the bevel is allowing me to just push it on through. So you can see this surface, I think with this light, maybe, actually see how shiny that is. I burnished that surface just by cutting with spindle gouge. I don't have to sand that, but the deal is I got to get all the way into where the hollow form shape is and do that all the way around. So I'm just roughing out the shape right now. I am actually think I'm really close to the size I want to be. I'm going to start working the other way. Yes, dear. Oh, you weren't in. Okay, hold on. I know, hold on. It's tough not having opposable thumbs. I get it. That is my roommate, Peach the cat. I have to open doors and such for her. It's awesome. Okay. So I've got my thumb is, let's move this light. I've got my thumb set. You can see my flute where it's at. Let's bring it up higher so it gets closer. It's not totally closed, but I don't need it totally closed. So I'm going to move to my uncomfortable position. The handle drops down. I start my cut right there, and I raise the handle. And I'll have to work back and forth like this because of the angle that I set for myself here. That is really close to a nice shape. That is really, really close. So let's clean this up. I think, well, let me double check this because I think that's still natural edge cut. Yes, all right. So I got to take this down a little bit. I'm going to have to take this down just 1/16 of an inch more maybe, so I can get rid of the, nope, sorry, 1/8 of an inch, just so I can get rid of that divot. Oh, no, sorry, that's not going to matter, is it? Because that'll be hollow. So I just need to take about 1/16 of an inch or so down further in, so this this lip of the jar will have a flat surface. This is all chewed up from chainsaw, and I really don't want that on this particular piece. So handles down. See, I've got, this is where I want to stop. So my thumb's on top. I just kind of naturally do it now. I start my cut. There it is. Lift the handle. I'm pushing only with my left thumb this time. I'm helping my hand turn by twisting my fingers. Not that that is super necessary. I just happen to do that. Now I'll come back here and round off this corner. Sorry, one moment. I'm not going to do that yet because I need to move my banjo anchor out of my way. Okay, now we can get in there. I'm going to start high. Bring the handle up and follow it around right to there. Oh man, that's really close. Let's see if we can clean that up just a little bit more. My goal here is not just to make a pleasing shape, but it's to also, using a sharp tool and slow controlled movements, hopefully not have to sand very much at all. And that is a really nicely burnished surface. Actually, I don't have to sand this bit. That's done. So let me, well, let's see. Let me at least flatten off. That was a little too much. There we go. See what that looks like. Oh, that'll be plenty enough for a lip. All right, very cool. I'm good with that. Do I like, I think I could do a little bit more with the shoulder up here, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to adjust the shape. I think that I'm going to approach it from this side, catch just the very tip of the tool, and shave off just a bit right there. Now I need to come back, shave just a little bit off there. Oh man, almost. Just a hair. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right, cool. Now I can finish this a little bit. Self-set. Get my cut started right there. Follow it out. All right, now that I will need to actually use the skew for this. Hello. That was too wide, so is this guy. Trying to get the curve I want while keeping it more or less between centers, even though it's in the chuck. Because of the vibration that I am getting, this is a really fine cut, a couple of fine cuts I need to make, and I am getting some vibration from the wings flying around. There we go. That almost got it. There we go. Cool. So I just need to now finish my shape, or at least this portion of it. There we go. And clean that up with a skew. I still got a burr there. I do. Yep. All right. And then I can sand that out. Well, that was kind of silly. Just have to see what kind of damage that did. All right, so I caught the tip of it right there because I was not paying attention. And now I can sand this out, I think. Groovy. All right, how we looking on time? Well, cool. We got 15 minutes left. I'm gonna sand this up real quick. I'm gonna mute you, so that you don't have to listen to my compressor. It is quite loud. Where are my earplugs? And the mask. Oh, golly, sorry guys. Okay, back with audio. All right, so take my mask off here. I want to show you something really quick. Let's loosen this. This is what I mean. This is one of the things that I mean when I say a design change. This is live and all that happy groovy stuff, so I get to show you this. Okay. Boy, that light is just too bright, isn't it? Okay, there we go. So here, get it at an angle, maybe you can see it a little bit better. All right, so there's a gouge in here. That's where I caught the point of the skew. I don't want to sand, and it's not that it's super deep, but it's deep enough that it would change the topography of basically this whole side if I tried to sand down into that. So instead, what I'm going to do, if you can get a bit, I'm sorry about the glare and all that, folks. Just took a pencil, drew that line. I'm going to make that a feature now with a spindle gouge. So I'm just going to make, turn that into a feature, and that will eliminate that misfortune. I don't know. It's not a mistake so much as it's not paying close attention to every little thing. And I just caught the very tip of the skew right into that. So when things like that happen, don't get freaked out. Figure out how you can use that if it's possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but how can you use that? Well, that I can turn into a feature, and it could be a circular feature in there. Whoops, no. That clears, that clears, that clears, that clears. Let's get a little bit closer. That clears, that clears. Okay. So I suppose if you want to call it a mistake, it's more an accident, really. I don't want to think of it as a negative thing. That can lead to frustration, and frustration leads to anger and self-recrimination and all that. And who needs that, right? So let me grab my bull gouge. Will I use my detail? I think I'll use my detail. Yeah. So I know that my cut's going to stop right there. That's on center. Let me grab my pencil again. This portion of the cutting edge that I'm going to use on the bottom wing, this is now the bottom wing, because I'm holding the handle left-handed, right-handed, pushing left-handed. And then I will have to switch to bring it back, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to plunge in there and make a cut, and then plunge in the other side and make that a feature. So I have to have myself set up in the end of my cut right where I want it, which will be right there, just that little bit. So I set myself up. That's where it's going to be. Thumb goes on top. Now I'm ready to go. Except I need to move that anchor. Do we still clear? Yes. Now we'll turn it into a feature, and I can finish off the lip here and start on the hole, and that will pretty much wrap it up for this evening. Okay, here we go. So I got a little bit of vibration. You know what, though? Doggone it, Dave. All right. So it's been in the chuck the whole time, but every once in a while, I'm still going to double check. I should have done it before I started. Just make sure, give it a little bit more oofta in there, just to make sure it's secure, because I no longer have a tailstock here. Nothing to back it up. Not making deep cuts, but better safe than sorry. Set yourself up for success. All right, so that's not going to be like the most perfect, but it's going to look really nice. All right, so I have to start high. I want to get my cut started, and I'll know when I have shavings are coming right over the edge. There it is right there. So I'm going to raise my handle, relax my hand, and make that plunge cut. I'm going to come back a little bit more and round that off. I've just gone a little bit deeper, and I don't want to go too deep on this because we've only got this much to work with, this much thickness. So that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to come at it from the other side, and we'll clean all that up. So handle has to start low. I know my cut is going to end. Now this is the bottom wing because I'm cutting this way. So same place, just on the opposite side is where I want my cut to stop. It's going to be right about there. So I'm just going to pull the tool towards me while I lift my hand. I'll just do it this way. Hit the bevel on it. There we go. Now I've got shavings coming over right now, so I'm slowly lifting my handle, trying to take into account for the vibration that I've got. Going really slow and easy. That gave me a really nice burnished edge too. That's amazing. I'm liking that. I'm going to hit it. Am I going to hit it again? I'm going to hit it one more time. But that was a really nice burnished edge. So take your time when you're doing stuff. No need to be in a big rush. I know I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go way up high, get my cut started. Slowly adjust. There, it's started now. So I'm going to slowly pull towards myself and raise my hand. I can see already the shine off that. That is a nice burnished edge there. Now I got to come back from the other side, clean this up, and it'll be gorgeous. So I'm starting up high. I know my cut's going to end right about there. There's my cut started. This is going to be a little, whoop, nope, I didn't quite catch it. There it is. I'm going to end my cut right at the bottom of the inside curve down. I wanted my cut to end right at the bottom of that. So it looks like a little bit of a bead. All right, I got just a bit to clean up. Make sure that that's a clean. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut it from one more time from this side. And that should clean it up. I'm gonna come out a little bit further this time, give it more of a gentle curve in. Remember, I can't take too terribly much off here. And my cut right there. So that should have left me a really nice delineated edge, clean, and then I just gotta sand this out a bit. All right, cool. So let me show you this. Well, actually, let me run the sander and I'll show it to you real quick. You know what? I'll show it to you first. And you'll see what I'm talking about. All right. So where I had the corner of the skew dig in, now I have a slow, gentle swoop into where this looks like a disc sitting right on the surface. So I just got to sand the edge, soften this edge a little bit, and I'm pretty happy with that. And actually, I think I could even do that with the skew. So I'm gonna go for it. Double check I'm true. Nope. I think I might have missed one thread on the spindle. Let's move this guy aside. There we go. All right, so I can actually, I think I can bring up my tailstock now. Raise this light just a bit. You don't need to tighten it down super hard. Just need to keep, things steady. That's all I need to do. Yeah, I can get right there. Let me move this light a little bit over this way so I get this not quite there. We go. Now will let me get right in there and I can see my shadow. Okay, very cool. Here we go. Just going to soften those edges up a bit. With the regular brake scraper of the skew. And I'm hoping that means to me no sanding. No sanding, or very little. Very little it is. It got, well, let me try. I'm really not putting much pressure on here because it's the burr that's doing the work and all the magic. And I do know if I push too hard, I'm going to lose that burr faster than I want to. Not that I have, tons of control over that, but how you address the tool to the piece you're working on. All right, very little sanding. Cool, I'm digging this. Is going to determine how much success you have on your cut. So you always want to keep sharp tools. I'm going to hit this up with a, oh goodness. Pardon me, I had a few things drop off the lathe at the end of the lathe here, but I got them. So I'm going to hit this skew with a fresh burr. And that way, round that out. Not quite. Okay. vom frische Bier. Very gentle touch. I just want tiniest of shavings to come off of that. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, so real quick sanding, and it's done except for finishing off this lip and hollowing. Actually, I'll finish that off right now with my detail gouge. I will need to turn you a bit. You're going to clear that. You are not. How am I going to work this? Oh, I know. Steve Center to the rescue. Okay, can I get enough of an angle on that? Nope. All right, so this goes away. Set up my height. I'm down too low for my spindle gouge. In this situation, I want the cut to end at center. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to fix that little bit of what I'm calling a shoulder issue, and then I'll turn the lip of the hollow form, and we will call it good for the evening. All right, let's make sure everything clears properly. Yes. Can I get that all the way up? I don't think I'm long enough here. Nope. All right, let's take into account just the possibility. There we go. Now I have to remember, as I'm looking at this, let's shut the lathe off. I now don't have anything stopping me from wandering into this dude. All right, so I have to be very aware of where I'm at. I don't want to be caught by this floating around. I'm still going to be on this side of the tool rest, but now I've got to be on this side of the wood too. So I'm going to be taking very small cuts, very tiny cuts from like this area. I'm going to be very aware of what's happening here. That might have done it. Let's try this feller. And fix that. So I may have to do just a little bit of sanding here. There we go. Just to blend. Let's see. Because I'm using my skew as a scraper to get the shoulder that I need, because I can't get my spindle gouge in there without putting myself in the way of danger. So, Will Robinson, we are not going to do that. However, now I got to turn this bead. So I want to, I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to drop that bead down, and I need the light up high. Hopefully that doesn't block you too much. I need my light. I know my cut's going to start here. I've already got my thumb on top. Pushing with my right thumb getting right to that shoulder. Okay, now I got to come back from this side and clean that up. Right in there. And now I'm going to turn the lip of the hollow form. Clean that up a little bit more. There we go. Grab this fella again. And there's the lip. I want to define it on the inside. And by that I mean I want to continue the speed over a little bit, just enough to give a definition so that I know where I'm going to stop my borehole when I get to that point of opening it up. Come here, you. So my cut is going to end right there. I'm going to actually start my cut right here. You can't really see that on camera, I guess. I'm going to start on the very top of the bead, the very top of the hollow form, and then plunge cut right down in there with the spindle gouge and finish the bead if I can get the right doggone angle. Let's go this way. Yeah, that'll work, I think. Be too far off the tool rest. It's going to clear the banjo and the tool rest. Spindle gouge. So I am going to say that is something you definitely need to practice. Don't feel bad that you don't get it right the first time or you don't get it the first time, because there we go. Learning to turn and learning to do it consistently and well takes time to learn how to use the tools properly. Don't beat yourself up too bad, beginner or otherwise, really, I think, because I try not to beat myself up because, you know, I mean, you're not going to get it right and perfect every single time. Repeatability is important, and by repeatability, I'm talking about being able to get the same grind on your tools every time, using the techniques with the tools the same every time, following the rules of going downhill to the grain, downhill to the fibers where you can. You can't always do it, but probably at least 95% of the time you can. All these things lead you to a successful cut. They lead you to less finish sanding. They lead you to a softer expression, I guess, with the wood, because all of the grain and the features that are in the wood show through much better when you have a good, solid foundation surface to work with. So give yourself every single advantage you can and practice. That's the name of the game. It's no different than becoming a plumber or driving a car, learning to drive a car, or learning to tie your shoes. It's practice. Having said that, I want to say thank you very much for joining this evening. I had a lot of fun. When I'm back on the air, I will finish this piece. And you'll see how I finish this piece off next time. Thank you for joining me again. Hope you had some fun. Hope you learned something. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.